Cristy, welcome to the program. I finally got you.
I know.
So how did you get into theater?
Oh, goodness. I did theater when I was in school,
Yep.
Junior high and high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of funny, actually. I had not been to the Crighton Theater before, and probably in about 2010.
Yeah.
No, it's been longer than that. It's been 10 years ago, actually. I was reading the paper, and I saw open auditions at the Crighton Theater in Conroe, and it was for Cinderella.
Really? Cinderella?
Cinderella. And it said, no experience necessary.
Uh-huh.
And I just had a wild hair and didn't tell a soul, and showed up for auditions and had no idea what I was doing and had nothing planned.
Right.
So when they said, you have to sing something, I said, okay. And I just sang, I think, probably a church song, because that's all I knew.
Right.
And I got cast in the chorus, and I just loved it.
Was that one of Marty's shows? Or
It was.
It was Marty? Yeah.
It was Marty Craig.
I guess we were here, but we didn't know or see about anything here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Oklahoma was the first show we ever knew about and saw here. But I know that this stuff, I just didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't even know the theater existed. I didn't live in Conroe at the time. I lived in Porter, actually. And my mom lived nearby. She lived in Cut and Shoot, and so but I'd never been here, never heard of the Crighton, and I looked it up, and I walked in, and I was amazed. So
No.
I just thought it was. I mean, I thought I'd hit it big time because I got cast in the chorus. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be performing at the Crighton Theater in the chorus. So it was, but I fell in love with it and in love with the people. Then I would just do shows periodically, once every couple of years, and then the last few years kind of picked up.
So what attracted you to theater in high school?
You know, I don't remember. I think I did musical theater in high school, and when I was young, I went to church regularly, and I sang from the time I was little. We would go to church camp, and we would have competitions.
Yes.
And so I worked with our choir director, and I would go and I would compete in the summertime at camp, and so I always loved to sing.
Right.
And then in junior high, it was one of those things. I saw there was auditions for The Wizard of Oz when I was in 7th grade, and I thought, oh, that sounds like fun. I love to sing, and I love The Wizard of Oz, and I auditioned, and I got Dorothy, my very first role. So I think, that how could you even compete with that? When you get Dorothy, it's like it's all downhill from there. I mean, what can you ever get? So, of course, playing that, iconic role, I think I fell in love with it. I loved it was the only opportunity I got to dance because we grew up where we couldn't dance.
Okay.
So I got to sing, and I got to dance and act, and just loved it.
So you really, it sounded like music was your entree into theater first, but then you kind of progressed to other things too, because like you're into drama as well.
Yes, actually, I love drama. I probably prefer now to do drama if I can, although I still love musical theater.
Right.
It's so much fun, but that's just been in the last few years, really, that's kind of developed, and I've done more straight shows, and now I fell in love with that.
So tell me about the drama experience for you.
I just love it. A lot of the shows that I've done, I've kind of played the sweet and innocent character, which is fun to play. But I had the opportunity, not in drama, actually, going back to musical theater last year to play Velma in Hairspray.
Right.
And I got to be the villainess, and I
The naughty
loved
girl.
that. Yes, and so I keep searching out and hoping, one day soon there's going to be a role that I can audition and perhaps get that's a meaty drama, because I really want to do something different than the sweet, innocent girl, which is what I end up playing, or just a small comedic role. But I really want to dig deeper and do something that's a big stretch for me.
So when it's a stretch, why is it a stretch? Is it a stretch because of, in terms of the character analysis, in terms of, is it cathartic? What is it about playing? I mean, a lot of people say that. They get to play parts that they would never be in real life, of course.
Right,
but
right.
What is it about that?
I think because it takes even more acting, if you're kind of a nice person, which I try to be, then when you go on stage and you're playing a nice, everyday type person, it's not even though that's really hard to do on stage too, because it's hard to be natural and be just the straight character. But I think because that's outside of my personality, I feel like I would have to dig a lot deeper and really push myself to outside the box of my comfort level. So I'm hoping I get to do something like that soon.
So when you study a character, what is your particular technique?
I don't have much
You
of
don't
a
know?
technique.
Well, I know you've been studying, so so everyone is different.
I have actually. Craig's really worked with me the last year and a half to get a lot better about character analysis. Even Brenda Storseth, working on the Christmas show, just as light of a show as that was, she gave all of us a character analysis sheet that we had to go and think about. And one of the things that Craig had me do recently when I auditioned for a show was to look through the script and look at what the other characters say about me, even when they're not speaking to me, but they're speaking about me. All of the director's notes and all of that, and if you kind of make a list of all those things, it's surprising how much you learn about your character just by the notes that the director gives you, but also what other people say.
Right.
And that's helped a lot.
So when you're on stage, or ready to go on stage, are you in the zone, or is this? Oh no, you're Cristy, but when you go on stage, no, you turn the switch and you're someone else.
I would say that I'm not one of those hardcore, people that are the method people that they have to be that character from the time they enter the theater. I've always been Cristy until I walk on stage, but I think as I've developed over the past year and a half and really tried to dig deep and study more and read more, I try to get more in the zone a little bit sooner. I think it's important, and I have learned this. I didn't know this because I have no training in theater whatsoever. I just knew I loved it.
Right.
But to really think about, even when you don't have a line, that people are still watching you until you exit. So you have to be that character as you walk off the stage or as you enter on. And so I try to think about that. I am also one that I will read my script and review it until the very last show. My script will be in the dressing room, and even though I have lines down backwards and forwards, when I'm not on stage, I'm usually in the dressing room reviewing, making sure I know what's coming up and making sure I know my lines.
It's an excellent practice that most people don't do.
I'm probably a little OCD about some things, so that's what I do.
So what do you do in real life?
I have a boring job in the real
No, there's no such thing. Come on, no.
I'm actually in insurance and financial planning, estate planning. We do employee benefits for companies, and
that's what pays the bills, basically.
That's right. That's the day job. So I do that, and then on the side I do event planning also.
So how did you get into events planning?
Oh, goodness. I think I've just been I grew up loving to help host parties. My mom was really good at that when we were kids. She had all these great parties she would plan for us, scavenger hunts, and all of those fun things. And so I just grew up loving that, and I think it comes natural for me. I like to get people together and throw a party, and so...
Well, people think it's easy, but it's not.
No.
So what is the essence of a good events planner?
Oh, goodness. I think being organized and, setting your goals and having, timelines, knowing what you need, keeping people entertained throughout the night. And I went back to school a couple of years ago and got my certification in wedding and event planning.
You can get certified?
You can. You can actually go to college and get a certification. It's not a degree. It is a certification.
Right.
But I am actually through Lone Stars is through how you can take it from. But it's actually called the Wedding Institute is who you get your certification from. I'm sure there are other ones out there, but I am a certified wedding and event planner. So
what are those letters? CEP?
I'm a CWEP.
CWEP. Okay.
CWEP.
The W for wedding?
Yes. Yes, certified wedding and event planner. So I'm certified now, so I can throw you a party.
What's your most memorable party you've ever thrown that you're proud of? Yeah.
My wedding, when Craig and I got married, I planned everything and did everything. It was small, but
and he did the guy thing, right? Which is not too much.
Well,
that's mostly what we do.
What can I carry? What can I carry? He said he'll help me as long as I call him my lovely assistant. So I said okay, but I did that. I've done lately a lot of just kind of side things, helping with weddings, not actually planning the entire thing. But I've done a little catering lately, and I try to stay away from that. But I kind of get
stay away
into
from
that.
catering?
Catering, yes. I'm not.
You're not into
I'm
catering,
not a
but
cook.
you're into events.
I know. I'm not a cook.
planning
I
and-
like to plan it, and I like to hire the caterers and
Okay.
get the decor and put it all
Right.
together. But I don't necessarily want to cook it or put it together. But I can. I can put together, make it pretty. I think that's
Right.
my specialty, is make it pretty and take nothing and make as much of it as possible.
So how do you do it within a budget? Because I'm sure that's a big deal. Yeah.
Well, it is a very big deal, and that's where you have to start.
Right.
I've done some work with a big event company in Houston and kind of interned, I guess you would say, as I went through my certification a little bit after that. And I did weddings, or was a part of those weddings that their budget was just out. It was just ridiculous. So it was amazing how much they spent. But I'm pretty frugal myself, so I'm very good. I wanted to actually call my business Dazzle on a Dime.
What's wrong with that?
But then there's certain clients that you're not going to get because that sounds cheap. So it's just Campobella event planning.
Isn't that something that sometimes if you charge more, they think, oh, she probably knows what she's doing. It must be good.
That's right.
That's so weird.
Yes, it is. So
How did you get into travel?
I've always loved to travel. I worked for the airlines when I was younger, so. And
Yeah. Airlines probably don't exist now, right? Oh, no, Southwest does,
Southwest
okay.
Airlines. I worked for Southwest for a few years in my early 20s, and so I had a chance to get to go on a few trips here and there, and just loved it. And so now I go as much as possible. So I said if that's one thing that I would do if I didn't have to work and, money was growing on trees, I don't even think I would have to own a house. I would just travel all the time.
Just go. Wow. No, you got to tell us about this trip to Italy, because that's an awesome trip.
It was a dream trip. I was very, I was surprised, first of all, because Craig surprised me at Christmas time. We've talked about going to Italy since we've known each other. I wanted to go to Italy before I met him, and of course, he being a sculptor, that's his mecca. And so we had talked about it, but he had some things come up surprisingly, and so he thought he would surprise me at Christmas time, and he arranged it with my employer for me to take off and surprise me. But we spent, I guess, about a little over 2 weeks in Italy, and got to go to Rome and to Venice and Florence and Lake Como and
Right.
and down to Sorrento,
Right.
and it was just amazing. It was really a dream trip for us. It was our first trip to Europe, so.
What was your favorite place in Italy?
People have asked that, and I used to ask that, and people would say, that's hard to say. And I'd be like, you have to have a favorite. And now that I've been, it is really hard to say, because
Right.
it's all amazing. Every place that we went, we started in Rome, we went south down to Sorrento and the Amalfi Coast, and then we just went up to Assisi and kind of did this big circle. And every place we went, I was like, oh, this is beautiful. This is where I would want to live if I could live here. And then we would get to the next spot, and I'd go, oh, no, scratch that. This is where I want to live. So I think if we got to go back, we would probably spend more time in Florence and more time in Venice, just because we didn't get as much time in Venice as we had probably wanted to explore on our own.
Sure.
But it was amazing. I say to everyone, if you ever get a chance, go, because it's just rich in history and art and culture.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's amazing. Great food, great wine.
Yeah. We'll talk about the food. But anyway.
That's right. That's right.
Did you see any places that reminded you of movies you'd seen?
Oh, yes. Actually, what was funny is we took a tour. We went on our own, and then we
Right.
decided to go ahead and book a tour as our trip got closer. And so part of the time we spent with a tour group, and we actually were on a bus, and our tour guide talked all the time, and he was great. But he was,
Right.
he had a master's in, I think, art history, but he was from California. He spoke fluent Italian. He was really kind of an interesting guy. But he finally, at some point, stopped talking, because there was one particular day that we were on the road for a long time, and he said, hey, I have some movies. I'll pop in, a movie and give y'all some downtime. And it was Roman holiday.
Of course.
Of course. And
yes.
so it was really neat because that was fresh on my mind because we had just, we had went to Rome first. And so all of those places, of course, I'm like, oh, we were there. We were there. Yeah. So.
I want to do the Roman holiday tour.
Yes,
Rome,
yes.
because there's a place, we haven't been to all those places. Some of them, yes.
Right.
The Spanish Steps, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I want to try
It
that.
was pretty amazing. In fact, the part where she sticks her hand in the mouth.
Yes.
When we went by there, he's like, okay, pay attention. If you've not seen Roman Holiday, remember that. We're going to watch it later. So it's kind of neat. And of course, Tuscany, you see that all the time in movies. And it was beautiful. I would say if I was going to go back and live somewhere, it would be probably in that area, somewhere close to Florence. Kind of centrally located to all the things that we liked.
So what do you take away from the travel when you come back?
Depends on where, but the culture. I love just seeing beautiful places. I love nature as far as to see something that's just breathtaking. I mean, even here in the United States, when the first time I went to the Grand Canyon and you walk up and you look over and it's just, everyone's silent. And that to me is just amazing. Just those memories of what you see and the people you meet. We met some great people on our trip and we've tried to even stay in touch. It's not been that long, but we've got some new friends in Newfoundland, so we're like, okay, maybe we'll make it to Newfoundland. I don't know.
Which is supposed to be a good place too, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat. So what's your next trip going to be?
Oh,
it's hard to beat, though.
I don't know. Yeah, not wasted. I don't want to use that word.
No.
I used all of my vacation time, so now I'm like, okay, we have to wait until January before I get off. Where do we want to go? So I'm not sure. I think it'll be somewhere closer to home, but we do a cruise in January often, so we may do that. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be. I want to do the California coast. I've not really spent much time in California. So.
Okay. Oh, California's got a lot of beautiful places. We haven't hit most of those places either.
Yeah, no.
But I understand why people like it there. Absolutely. Great weather and all that kind of stuff. So about movies. What's your favorite movie?
So I'm all over the map when it comes to movies. It's easier to tell you what I don't like than what I do.
Oh, tell me what you don't like. Okay, tell me what you don't like.
I don't like horror movies. I don't like to be scared.
I understand that.
I don't like to be scared.
I get that.
But romance, I like suspense. I love drama. I mean, I like from watching, Lifetime movies, which are so cheesy and bad acting most of the time,
right.
to, all the musicals. I love like Moulin Rouge and that type of thing. But then, I love Braveheart. I would say Braveheart's one of my favorite movies, and that's so not Grease or Moulin Rouge. So I'm kind of all over the place.
So what are movies for you? Because you're obviously very busy. Mm-hmm. What are movies for you? Are they just escapism? Is this real? What is it that you look for or it depends on?
I think probably escapism is probably the biggest part. I love to be entertained. That may sound silly, but I love to be entertained, whether it's going to a movie, whether it's listening to live music, going to the theater. I love to sit and have someone, make me laugh or cry or.
It can be tough. It's tough. People think, oh, that's easy. No, it's not that easy.
No,
there's so many, especially now. There's so many options.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Oh, absolutely.
Before, when they only had the 3 TV stations, that was pretty much it, right? Now there's who knows how many different versions of entertainment out there.
Right.
That you can choose from.
And we have live theater. I mean, what's better than that? To me, I love live theater.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
I don't even go to the movies that often anymore. I used to go all the time, but I hardly ever go to the movies now.
It is a different experience. I enjoy it too, but it is a different experience than live theater. Anything can happen in live theater.
That's right. That's right.
So what's your juiciest role that you would love to do? If you had to pick one, I get one role and that's it. What role would it be?
That it's going to sound crazy, but I really don't. I can't say. I've thought about that. People always ask that question. What are your, bucket list roles? But I can't really say there's a specific character. if it's musical theater, that's maybe a little bit easier, just because I would say Wicked is my favorite musical so far to date. So to play Elphaba would be wonderful. But drama, there's so many out there. I just can't even pick one. And I think that some of the really good ones, it's going to be a little bit later on when I'm a little bit older. Some of the great dramas that are out there.
Well, you're so young looking that probably casts you a certain way. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
I mean, like Sarah, or I don't know, she was here, the girl that played our Cinderella. She's probably 27 now, but she still looks like she's the same weight, same size that when she was 15 to 17.
Right.
And so they have the kind of youthful, look. So it's like, sorry, you can't have that. As opposed to people like Angela Lansbury, she's playing older people at 18, kind of thing. So
exactly. I guess that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
No, I would say last season I was in Bus Stop, and that was a role I played Cherie, which is written in the script to be an 18-year-old, and I'm by far 18, but they cast me and my counterpart. Right. We were both about the same age, so it worked. But, so some of the, the older, like Lion in Winter, to play the queen would be amazing, but that's later on, so I have plenty of time to get to that point. There's still a lot of other roles in between now and then to play. I also, of course, sound young. I sound, my voice is, young, so I have to think about that and think about lowering it at certain times if I want a particular role. So.
All right, I'm going to ask you the question we've been asking. I don't think everyone else has been asking this. If heaven exists, what do you want God to say when you get to the pearly gates?
Welcome. You're here you are. Please enter.
He doesn't give you a hug. He doesn't sing anything. He doesn't tap dance.
No. I'm confident in my faith, and so just to know that I made it to heaven, I guess, and that everything that I believed is true. I think just to be there.
And we have this really big event that we need help with.
Right. We're having a party. We got you on Gold Street, number 5. So,
Cristy, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.